Now, the first thing you need is a piece of sushi grade fatty tuna. And when you go to the meat market, be sure to ask for sushi grade seafood. That's really important. If you don't get that, you can really risk making yourself or someone else sick. So be sure to double check with the butcher behind the counter if it is sushi grade. Now, our lovely model here is slicing it nice and thin right from the start using our sashimi hocho. And sashimi means basically raw fish, and hocho is the Japanese word for knife. That really does make all the difference in the world, having a nice sharp knife to work with, especially when you're working with excellent cuts of fish like we have today. So we sliced vertically, and now we're going back over and trying to get really, really small, tiny pieces. We're going for not quite ground hamburger consistency here. Because as you know, for those of you fans out there from spicy tuna rolls like myself, we get the really small pieces of fish mixed up with the spicy tuna sauce. So that's what we're doing right now is getting our sashimi grade or sushi grade piece of fish to those little chunks to mix in with the spicy tuna sauce. Now, the Japanese technique here is called tataki, and that's what you're witnessing right now. I guess chopped is a pretty close translation in English for that. It certainly is a little bit different technique, but very similar nonetheless. And for those of you really interested in Japanese culture and things like that, you'll notice that on the hocho, or knife if you will, there's some engravings on the side. And this knife is from Seki, and that's where they originally made all of the ninja swords. And right now that's a major hub for Japanese cutlery as well. Me and my family have visited there. That's where they make some very fine surgical knives as well. And actually Feather brand, who makes shaving things for men, is based there as well. Some excellent knives. Anything to do with a blade that comes out of that city is just ridiculously sharp. And that's the knife that we're using today as well. And I can't stress enough that having a nice sharp knife working with these kinds of meats really makes all the difference in the world. And a picture's worth 1,000 words, so Mai has been demonstrating the tataki method here. Certainly be careful with your fingers, you don't want to cut yourself. And just going back and forth over the meat like so to get it to the almost hamburger consistency is what we're aiming for. And I think we're getting pretty close. Just going back and forth over the meat is really what you need to do. So there we are, really bunching it together. And there we go, probably one more pass, possibly two, to get us there. And there we go. As you've seen, it took a couple minutes, but that's the consistency we want. Now that we're at that point, we want to mix in our spicy tuna sauce. If you don't know how to make this sauce, please see our other video. We explain exactly how to mix it together for you guys out there. Now, it gets a little tricky. You'll notice Mai's kind of slicing the meat with the spoon to mix in the spicy tuna sauce. When you get the meat in this consistency, it's not exactly the easiest to mix in sauces with, but you just kind of rub it together and mix it around. It does take a couple minutes, but definitely you want to be gentle with your meat at this point, even though we've just chopped it up really, really small pieces. But you don't want to mash it any more than that. So just be gentle with it, mix it around. It might take a couple minutes, but you can certainly get it to where you want it to be. And there's no hard and fast rules on your ratios here. It's whatever flavor you want, that's how much of the spicy tuna sauce you mix in. Whatever you think meets your spiciness taste. Now, we also have the avocado slices that we're going to include as well. So here we have an avocado that we've already sliced in half. And here you can just see with the sharp knife going through the avocado like butter. It really is a pleasure to cut with those sharp knives. So we're making consistent thin slices from the avocado. If you want to slice horizontally instead of vertically, that's fine too. It really is just personal preference at that point. And after we slice our avocado, we want to be sure to add a little bit of lemon on top. We don't want our avocado turning brown in the middle of our sushi roll. Even though it tastes fine, it really does get to be rather unappetizing. Now we're going to put it on our makizushi base, If you don't know how to make the base here with the rice and the seaweed, please see our Makizushi video. We explain how to do that in depth and really walk you through that process. So what we're doing is we're adding the spicy tuna mixture. It's hard to tell from the camera angle, but it is slightly closer to the chef, or a model if you will, and you want to extend it all the way to the edges. That's really important. You don't want to have the orphaned sushi pieces on the end that don't have any fish in them. So definitely extend it a little bit past the nori, or seaweed if you will, and that's really, really important. So after we do that, we want to get our avocado slices, and they do have the habit of sticking together on the plate. What we found after making the videos that really helps is to add some lemon juice between the slices and also on the plate below. That helps them slide right off the plate. So you'll see how Mai's adding the avocado slices there slightly at an angle. You don't need to go perfectly horizontal. And that's where you want it. That's what you want it to look like before we go ahead and roll the pieces together. Now you grab the bamboo mat, lift it over enough for it to touch the other side of the sushi, and with a firm gripping motion, that's how we really get the sushi to come together. Now you don't want to smash it together, you do want to be firm, but definitely don't want to just mash all the ingredients in the middle together. It really is a fine line that comes over time, a little bit of practice, and I'm sure you can get it down. So we flipped it over again with the firm gripping motion once again, and the saran wrap sometimes sticks together, but it's not a problem at all. And there we go, the last round. Squeeze a little bit more, you'll see some of the spicy tuna coming out the sides. If you squeeze it so hard that all of it pops out, you definitely know you're gripping too hard. But if it does come out just a little bit like so, that's perfectly normal, and that's what you want it to look like right there. So the next step is to add a little bit of the sesame seeds on the side, roasted sesame seeds that is, and you'll notice we put it on top enough to coat lightly and pat it in just a touch. Now next we put it on a cutting board, and this is really where the sharp knife pays off incredible dividends. You'll notice there it's slicing right through. And for those of you who do watch some of our videos, I want to point out here that we use the rice cooker for the rice that we used on the spicy roll tuna here. And you'll notice that it doesn't clump up as bad when you cut through it. You'll notice that you get nice clean slices. The flavor of the stovetop rice comes out the same, but with the rice cooker you can see that's where you really get these neat cuts that you can really tell when you're cutting your sushi rolls in particular. So here we are. You know, how thick you want your rolls and things like that is really just up to personal preference. It's whatever you like. I think we're cutting them a little bit thinner here, but that's because we have a family and we all like to have a lot of pieces of a lot of different flavored sushi. So when you cut it, that's what it'll look like. And the next step is to put it on the plate for display. We use the Sushi Gaeta. If you want to put it on a regular plate from your kitchen, that's perfectly fine. Usually it's served with some wasabi and ginger, as we have as well. But you take out the pieces for display, and there you go. There's your spicy tuna roll. And we hope they turn out as wonderful in your kitchen as they did ours. These tasted fabulous. So thanks for watching. We appreciate likes and comments, and please remember to